exactly. Okay, I'm talking about Marianist spirituality in the modern world. And the first thing we need to look at is considering the contrast between being religious and being spiritual. We use these terms interchangeably a lot in the world, the modern world, but they actually have two very distinct and different meanings. Being religious typically refers simply to following a specific set of beliefs, practices, or rituals associated with an organized religion of some nature. This could involve attending religious services, participating in ceremonies, adhering to doctrine. On the other hand, being spiritual is more about connecting with a higher power, our inner self, on a personal level, often through things like meditation or private prayer, or just mindfulness practices. Spirituality is more individualized, introspective, and it takes that kind of approach to a person's beliefs and values. Another key difference between being religious and being spiritual is the emphasis on external versus internal sources of guidance and authority. Okay, in a religious context, individuals often look to religious leaders or scriptures or traditions for their guidance. And they look to for all matters in life, moral and ethical issues, etc. There's a structured hierarchy and established rules that dictate behavior and beliefs within a religious community. Okay. In contrast, being spiritual places more emphasis on personal experiences and intuition, an inner wisdom as your source of guidance, for example. It's about seeking a deeper connection with the divine or with one's own inner truth rather than relying solely on external authority. Okay, Marianist spirituality in the U.S. is characterized by a strong sense of community and service, and Larry mentioned that in talking about the characteristics of a Marianist retreat center. Okay, the Marianist emphasis on family spirit and inclusivity is evident in various institutions across the country. The spirituality encourages individuals to live out their faith through action, promoting a culture of caring for others. Today, Marianist values continue to inspire people to work towards creating a more just and compassionate society, reflecting the core principles of Marianist spirituality. Our Marianist institutions often engage in social justice initiatives and community outreach programs, embodying the values of solidarity and service to those in need. Okay, this commitment to social responsibility and advocacy for marginalized communities is a key aspect of Marianist spirituality in the United States today. By fostering a sense of belonging and actively addressing societal issues, Marianists strive to make a positive impact and uphold the principles of justice and compassion in their communities. One of Blessed Chaminad's beliefs is encapsulated in the quote, "I am like a brook that makes no effort to overcome obstacles in its way. All the obstacles can do is hold me up for a while, as the brook is held up. But during that time, it grows broader and deeper, and after a while, it overflows the obstruction and flows along again. And this is how I am going to work." Okay, and in his work with the church, back at the time of the French Revolution, to bring the church back to France, he and his followers, and the first group were the lay people, the lay Marianists, or what we would call lay Marianists. They dealt with the obstacles of the new French society just that way. They focused their work on bringing Christ to people without regard to the larger societal movement against them. They were countercultural, just as Christ himself had been. And our actions today as Marianists remain countercultural. We believe in treating others better than they deserve to be treated, and work in many ways to bring about justice in our society. A good example of this is a program that was founded by a Marianist up in Cincinnati, Brother Mike Murphy. I had the good fortune to meet Mike on one of the junkets that Larry assigned me to go evaluate one of our schools up in Cincinnati. And Brother Mike lived on the campus of the school. He had been involved in prison ministry, and he created a thing called the HELP program. It was based in the church basement at St. Francis de Sales Parish in downtown Cincinnati. Okay, he wanted to find a way to assist returning citizens to to become self-sufficient and productive members of society on their return from incarceration. Not many people were interested in that kind of work, but Mike persisted, and he got support from local law enforcement, businesses, and parishioners, and he built a program on literally a shoestring budget. He had borrowed space in the church basement, and he got a small core group of people together who started working with him and bringing those returning citizens into the program, assisting them with finding and maintaining employment and other things like that. They held training classes for interviewing, for filling out paperwork. They went and got donations of clothing so people could go to get interviews. Okay? And with perseverance and prayer, the program thrived and is now led by a graduate of the program who took over as Brother Mike became ill and eventually passed away. At last count, over the 11 years Brother Mike led the program, they had helped over 150 people become productive citizens, and not one of those people returned to incarceration. Brother Mike and those committed lay people believed that the rehabilitation program was possible in a time and place that frequently ignored such people. That HELP program is still active today and fully embodies the Marianist concept of social justice in the modern world. The Marianist commitment to education is also significant, and it's a very important part of their spirituality in the United States today. Many Marianist institutions prioritize the holistic development of individuals, emphasizing intellectual growth, moral formation, and social responsibility. Through dedication to education, the Marianists aim to empower individuals to become agents of positive change in society, fostering a sense of purpose and service-oriented leadership among students and community members. This focus on education as a means to promote personal and societal transformation aligns with the Marianist tradition of nurturing the whole person and cultivating a deep sense of community and service. In the province of the United States, we have 18 high schools and 3 universities. In nearly all of the high schools, there are no vowed Marianists on staff. In areas like St. Louis, where there are multiple schools, Marianist priests and brothers are shared by the schools. It has become the responsibility of the lay teachers and staff members to carry on the charism of the order and pass it on to the next generation of students. A goodly number of those staff people are vowed lay Marianists, like myself. We attempt to work as Chaminade encouraged those early Marianists to treat people better than they deserved and to have a prudent reliance on leniency in disciplining students. In our schools, we treat students as individuals. We work to reach their hearts as well as their minds. Our goal is to help them become agents of positive change in this world, today and in the future. We've encouraged them to become, we have encouraged them to embrace actions to improve the world, recycling, for example. Many of our schools have moved from disposable dishes and cutlery in the cafeterias to use reusable goods, and most of the time that's been at the request of the students. Our students also stand firmly on the side of life, participating in prayer vigils and marches against abortion, the death penalty, etc. As adults in those schools, when dealing with disciplinary issues, we strive to look at each student individually and try to avoid blanket solutions. That prudent reliance on leniency has helped many young people to reform their behavior and become respected citizens of our community. One young man from Vianney was on the brink of being expelled after a series of really bad decisions. And with a lot of support from caring staff members, he did graduate, and he's gone on to become a respected journalist in the area. And furthermore, Marianist spirituality in the U.S. today is also characterized by a commitment to fostering a sense of interconnectedness and unity among individuals. This emphasis on building relationships and promoting a sense of belonging extends beyond the confines of our institutions, influencing how individuals approach their interactions with others in the broader community. By encouraging collaboration, dialogue, and mutual respect, and you heard Larry talk about that with regard to the retreat centers, okay, we seek to create a supportive and inclusive environment that reflects the values of Marianist spirituality in all aspects of society. And this is completely in line with traditional Catholic social justice teaching. An excellent example of this is seen in South St. Louis, where St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School has been an anchor in that community for years. When the Archdiocese made the announcement to close the school in 2022, the community itself rose up in support of that school and vowed to assist in helping keep it open. Through Herculean efforts at fundraising over a course of a few months, literally about 6 months, the school is open and thriving today as a private school and continues with Marianist sponsorship. Over the years, the St. Mary's staff and students provided numerous services to the community. They did tax preparation, neighborhood cleanup, youth activities, babysitting, and the community responded to the school in their time of need. Okay, spirituality is again more a way of life than a belonging to something. I personally came into contact with the Marianists in 1995 when I joined the staff at Vianney as administrator and teacher. Larry mentioned that. But I had known the Marianists long before that. I came out here to what was then called the Marianist Apostolic Center on my high school senior retreat. And I had been on numerous retreats here with kids at the 4 different schools I had worked at. So I'd experienced the Marianists in a number of ways, but it became personal, very personal, when I started working with them at Vianney. The brothers I met and worked with were excellent examples of Chaminade's principles and practices. They showed a dedication to the art of teaching, truly reaching the hearts of the young men there. They worked well past the normal retirement age, teaching, tutoring, attending student activities. They maintained a presence on that property as long as the residence was standing. And our students saw men dedicated to the charism on a regular basis. Those men also extended that same care and concern to the adults in the building. We lay staff members were treated as individuals, equals, much like the equality between the priests and brothers, and were full partners in the operation. We embraced the characteristics of Marianist education, the focus on holistic education, family spirit, service, justice, peace, concern for the environment, and live those characteristics every day. For me personally, the Marianist charism aligned perfectly with my own philosophy of education and made Vianney a perfect fit for me, and I remained there for 27 years until my retirement a couple of years ago. I became a lay Marianist because I believe the charism matches my way of life. I believe in social responsibility and justice for all. I believe in treating people better than they deserve. I believe we can become positive influences in our community and society at large by following the simple tenets of Father Chaminade. So how do we make this practical? Okay, it basically comes down to Mary's statement to the waiters at Cana. Do whatever he says. We need to listen to Christ's message that has come down to us in the scriptures and the wisdom of Blessed Chaminade and those early Marianists. Living the Beatitudes puts us on the right track toward justice and peace in our world. My favorite example of this interpersonal peace and justice happens on the church parking lot nearly every Sunday morning. People have just come out of Mass having heard Christ speaking to them, become monsters behind the wheel when they get in their car and someone cuts them off at the exit. They can't wait to get out of there. Okay? I found it much easier simply to avoid that situation by waiting till the line is gone. Okay, no cutoffs, then there's no anger. Keeping Mary's words in mind, there are numerous opportunities to do what he says. Just this month alone, we have opportunities to support Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital to enable them to continue providing first-class medical care to kids without cost to their parents. The annual Peter's Pence collection comes up at the end of the month to allow Pope Francis to aid the poor and underserved of the world. In addition, we can support our local St. Vincent de Paul conferences in several ways, either donations of time or treasure. Parish stewardship activities come along all year, not just in September. And money is not the only way we can serve the community. We can provide meals to the various shelters in our area, deliver meals to neighbors in times of need. When my wife passed away, for example, I received more casseroles than I could use. They were in the freezer for months. Okay. Sometimes our neighbors just may need someone to talk to. That wintertime reminder to check on the elderly is something we can do all year. Be a friend, get to know our neighbors. Household chores can be a great means for extending Christ's care and concern to others who may have difficulties in handling those things. Okay, one thing that one of my neighbors years ago, she was an elderly widow, and our kitchen windows were across from one another, and she said, after her husband died, she said, I need somebody to make sure I'm alive every day. So she says, when I get up in the morning, you're up the same time I am, I see your light on in the kitchen, I'm gonna put my dish soap in the windowsill. If you don't see the dish soap in there, get over here and get me. So that was one of the, a simple thing. We did that for about 10 years, and then she moved on to a nursing home, and we moved and bought another house. But that was just one of those things. It was a very simple thing. Make sure I'm alive, and that was what she wanted done. Okay, we can also do a lot to take care of creation. We're going to make a positive contribution to a better society. Simple things like recycling and composting are ways to show we value creation and want to pass it on to our children and beyond. Saving energy by simply using cold water to do laundry, line drying laundry, combining automobile trips to use less fuel, and eliminating unnecessary plastics, those reusable water bottles and food containers and paper straws. Other simple conservation activities, all ways to honor creation. And while most of these things are not usually considered spiritual, they are a means to spread the gospel message and live our lives in a Marianist way. Okay, so I'm going to end with a question that you're all going to work on. How does Marianist spirituality differ from other forms of spirituality? So Paul asked me to come up with some discussion questions, and I have. That's the first one. What's different about Marianist spirituality from other forms? What things can we do right now to fall into the whole concept of Marianist spirituality that we have not made a conscious connection to? And how can we fit Marianist spirituality into all things new to evangelize? So, that is all I have.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay.